like to introduce Prof. Tatiana, the lead session speaker for this session. Please welcome Prof. Tatiana.
Is anybody else coming? So, hello everybody. As she said, I'm Tatiana Camargo. Let's just wait for my slides. Yeah. No. No. It's okay. We will starting. So, welcome everybody here to this side event, and I'm really happy to be here today. It's a kind of funny because for me, it's like the top of 2 years of work with these two beautiful women that I will present after. And so, yeah, is this. Our side event is called Young Learners for the Planet. I'm Tatiana Camargo, as I presented before. I am associate professor in Federal University of Rio Grande do Sul, which is the southest state of Brazil. And I am also an education fellow at Planetary Health Alliance since 2021. And in this role as education fellow, my main focus was thinking and designing and wondering what could be a planetary health education for kids, for teens. So today in this side event, we will present much of my work, but not just mine. We will present our work as education team of Planetary Health Alliance with Yelena, Jennifer, and Sujita, which is not arrived yet. Sujita is from WWF Malaysia, and she will share some local experiences with us. So please, the next slide. Okay, come in, Sujita. And I have this. Yeah. Not working. So just to explain how we work our side event here today, we will have two parts. The first part, we will talk a little about what Jelena, Jennifer, and me, we worked together as Planetary Health Alliance education team in designing educational materials for planetary health education and focused on those in this special public, kids and teens. And in this first part, we will present you, I don't know if everybody of you know, we will present you the Planetary Health Education Framework that we have the, the big lucky of having Carlos here, the main author of this framework. I'm glad that you're here to discuss with us because our idea is discuss how this framework fits for children and how the dimensions, the 5 dimensions that this education framework is planned to envision, and it's envisioned to work, and how this should or could or not be adapted to this public. So please, Yelena, come.
Thank you, Tatiana. You will switch. No, we can, yeah. So Tatiana asked me to talk a bit about education resources, and maybe you recognize this slide from yesterday. I'm not going to repeat everything I said yesterday. I just want to offer an overview of the education resources. Some of them we've had for a while, some of them we created recently, and I think they kind of regardless of where you are in your planetary health education efforts, some of it can be useful for you. So you can find this on our website. We have a global inventory of planetary health programs courses, which aim to connect learners with planetary health education opportunities worldwide. Planetary Health Syllabi Directory is a project I'm actually working on with someone who is present now on Zoom with us today. So hi, Megan. Megan Tucker is a PhD student from the university at the University of New Mexico, and we are actually collecting and analyzing planetary health syllabi in order to understand what people teach when they say they teach planetary health, and also to have an opportunity to share this as a resource that hopefully will inspire other planetary health education faculty members and so on. Planetary health case studies, we have created a set of our own planetary health case studies, Planetary Health Alliance case studies, but we also share those created by our partners and collaborators. And planetary health education for kids and teens, it's something very important. We realize talking about planetary health education that just focusing on higher education is not enough, and that we have to start earlier. And by starting earlier, we are actually leveraging kids' natural curiosity and their innate connection they have with nature. And some of us, we all had, and some of us were lucky enough to keep into our later years. So I'm not going to talk about that today because we have Jennifer and Tatiana talk about that later. Planetary Health Roadmap and other planetary health guides and frameworks is what I'm going to talk about today as a foundation for teaching and creating planetary health education, kind of foundation for planetary health education efforts. And now, no. Oh, yeah. Okay. So that brings us to this next slide where I kind of listed those documents that we consider to be foundational documents of planetary health education: Sao Paulo Declaration, Planetary Health Education Framework, and Planetary Health Roadmap. And I will just say a few words of all three documents, ending with the Planetary Health Education Framework, because Tatiana wanted us to kind of have an exercise after that and kind of think how we can apply this education framework to teaching planetary health to children and teens. Sao Paulo Declaration, for those of you who are not familiar with, is a document produced by the planetary health community in Sao Paulo in 2021. And it's basically calling for a great transition or a rapid structural change in the way we live our life, in the way we produce goods, in the way, in our patterns of consumption, in the way we plan and raise our families, and in the way we educate our children. So you can see here, I kind of chose to quote the part that is actually talking about schools, and there is a separate section talking about higher education. But in schools, it says, teach planetary health education from an early age, advance universal education and embed planetary health throughout primary and secondary school levels, while ensuring women and girls have equity and access to such information. Utilize transdisciplinary and participatory approaches to design teachers' education and training materials, as well as schools materials that are appropriate for specific age groups and contexts. Incorporate nature-based and experiential learning outside of the classroom. Educate and empower youth to become current and future leaders of planetary health action and foster their ability to influence the decision-making of their parents, communities, and beyond. And we talk about foundations. I think we can agree that Sao Paulo Declaration is a great shared destination. It's a place where we want to arrive. So, next slide, please. To arrive there and to kind of respond to this declaration, we've been involved, and I'm going to say we, a group, education working group, working on the roadmap that we're going to talk about on Friday for the last now 6 to 7 months in creating this other document, which is Planetary Health Roadmap. This document aims to respond to how to do and achieve what Planetary Health Declaration is calling for. And I've been very fortunate to co-lead this education working group with Dr. Sally Potter and Dr. Sandy May too. And we have members from 5 regions of the world, 13 countries, and amazing combination of geographical diversity, expertise diversity, and different lived experiences. And I'm going to talk not more about this, but I just want to add this. I think it's important to already add it to the list of foundational documents that we feel it will become. And finally, the one that, and you can, obviously, it will be great if you would find time to read the whole document, or at least the last 75 pages in preparation for our discussion on Friday. But please, even if you do that, do not skip to 10 pages dedicated to education, a roadmap on education. Next slide. And that brings us to the third foundational document of the Planetary Health Education, and the one that Tatiana wants us to think about today in the context of how we utilize this resource for teaching planetary health to children and teens. And we have really indeed someone in the room who is an expert on this. So Carlos, would you like to join me and to talk a bit about education framework? Well, we didn't want to mention anything, thinking that maybe you will then not show up. No, we just want to talk about the FIRE Foundation and the ways like to kind of give some food for thoughts on how can we utilize this for kids. Like, for example, what comes to mind here when I look at this FIRE Foundation elements is the one that we adults, educated and hyper-specialized adults maybe find the most difficult, but I think would be most natural fit for children would be systems thinking and complexity. Because I believe children are natural systems thinkers. And the more we educate ourselves, the more we advance our thinking, the more specialized we become, systems thinking become more difficult, but maybe you disagree, so.
Well, maybe I'll just comment something, and the 5 domains get a lot of attention, but the 2 outer rings rarely get attention. So I would say, like, if we are going to focus on children's education, I think focusing on the 2 outer rings, which is bringing learning to context, is vital. Like, what is happening in the children's life that can make the learning relevant? What are the challenges that are local to this child? What are the things that matter to this person? What are the things that are keeping him well? And this is why place-based learning is so important. And the 2 outer rings are exactly about that. Place-based learning is vital for actually integrating the 5 domains. And the 5 domains, I'm actually not sure. I haven't thought about this quite a lot. I think Tatiana, Jennifer, and yourself have thought about it much more, but I would say my comment would be around that. How do we bring the learning process to the context and make it experiential for children to actually integrate this into their lives? I think we can all relate to that in a sense, and how we learned about our own environment and why we started caring for nature. So maybe if you just yourselves right now reflect upon that, on why you all started caring about nature. Maybe it was as a little kid. Let's say my school had a little farm, and in that farm we would go and we would see the ants and we would see the worms, and then we would play with the animals, and sometimes they hurt us because sometimes those animals were, you know, like little bugs that would bite us, and we learned to care about some and then about others maybe not so much. And that's how we build our relationship with nature, is very place-based. So how do we bring that into the formal learning environment is a question that I think we should be asking more. I'll stop there.
Thank you. And that is all that we wanted to actually just talk about. Just remind you, for those of you who had the opportunity to read the framework, remind you of the 5 foundational domains. And for those of you who haven't yet, to invite you to read this amazing document. And I'm gonna invite Tatiana to give us our task, our activity, and kind of explain what she wants us to do next.
Thank you. Can you pass? Yeah. As Elena said, thank you, Carlos. It was such a special participation for us. I'm so sorry for the surprise if you don't like surprises, but it was really good. And come back a little bit, sorry, but it's just to explain. The idea is we have 5 tables here, no? maybe we should split some which are too crowded, but the idea is that each table will consider one of these dimensions and think, now you could check how they work in the education for kids and teen and our teens, and any adjustments needed as you see. Do you believe in any new domain? Because coming back to the diagram, if we consider that we live in this world of the Anthropocene, we have our local priorities, we have our demands, we have the contexts, and this give us strategies and give us a diversity of possibilities of putting these frameworks and each of these 5 domains in practice. So my invitation is think about if you have, but if you don't have, imagine your experience in teaching and educating children. How this domain works, how the domain of the Anthropocene and health could be talked with the children using your context, your demands. How the movement building and systems change could be thinking, considering children and teens, because it's not just we creating movement to them, but how we create a movement through them and with them and by them, how children could be actors of movement. Because sometimes in our point of view, we are growing up adultocentric. I don't know if this works in English, but in Portuguese, yes. We are focused on our adult point of view. And we do not even consider that a child could have a, 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 a special role as a creator of movement in their community. So this is a point. Fourth, equity and social justice, how this could be and should be discussed with children. And by the end, I believe that this is my domain, interconnection with nature. Yelena, I agree with you that children understand much more about systems thinking, and children have a special interconnection with nature. If we work this and if we don't give them our trauma sometimes, they will have a lot of good interconnections with nature. So please, we will have to split in 5 tables and maybe start here. So here, one, just consider the dimension 1 and share. It's really quick exercise. People will have like 10 minutes to discuss and then we will present. If you want, you'll be sure. No, I will not give just system change thinking to Helena. Oh, does it fit you? And where is 5? Here. They're lonely here in group 5. Yeah. We need more volunteers for group 5. So we will have like 10 minutes to discuss, and then we will discuss in the big group. Yeah. I will leave it. Um, just a request. please, if you can, take notes. It's important for me after this to put these notes together. discussing? If not, we will not have enough time to the second part. Okay, okay. No, close it. Okay, it's closed. So the idea now is just that we could circle the microphone and then each group could choose one person to give the main topics of discussion. So I will start by table number 1, please. Who wants to talk? Don't be shy. Anybody? People don't like microphones. Yes, please. Yeah. So can you say your name and where are you from and then present?
My name's Teu. I come from Myanmar, currently studying biomedical science here actually in Taylor's University, not in Sunway. So for our approach for the first task is from the Anthropocene and health aspect. Young kids, especially even teenagers, they love the sense of gaming. So if we can gamify the, say, like urban farming activities or those that involves taking care of the nature, how it can contribute into the health aspects as well, healthy eating and also saving like planet Earth and trying to just have a better sustainable environment. In that sense, if we can put it gamify, that would attract a lot of children into this scene. And another approach is to incorporate in the curriculum, because if we are telling the children on the primary education to do just for the sake of doing, they won't be that involved, or rather they would not take it seriously. So if we can incorporate into the curriculum, such as in like scoring systems, like a reward-based thing where children are willing to learn towards that activity rather than just, it's part of it's a daily activity thing. We will finish it and then it doesn't really matter. That would not incorporate that much. So we can give them kind of like, they go into the scoring system as well. In that sense, I believe it can strengthen the kids' education towards Anthropocene and health and avoid the fear approach, whereby we give children, teenagers the message that, the planet is dying, the global warming, ice melting. So based on that, when they're trying to get the message there, like even through our country's like norms, because I'm come from Myanmar. My uncle works in the forestry, and he kind of give the message of, like when we cut down trees and then it's harming the planet. So kids see it differently in their perspective, and mostly negative. What we can do as educators is we can turn those negative messages into more positive ones, like urban farming, how you can have a sustainable food source, environmental contributions, and many more, just in the more positive message. That would be a really good approach. And of course, to just tie back to the curriculum as well, we can distribute the actual responsibility to engage, where if we're giving them more tasks like these, where they can get great rewards, great scoring in their academics as well, definitely kids will be drawn towards the Anthropocene and health aspects. So there's a sense of responsibility imprinted into them in that sense. So another suggestion is the camping field trips, providing them how to engage on hands-on education experience, because the more you are in touch with the nature, the way I see it, the more kids will be willing to learn like how this nature, the ecosystem work together hand in hand, how the animals and the plants interact together so that they are in unison, they are actually harmonized together and maintaining each other. So I believe more camping trips definitely will be helpful towards this approach and to discuss on how their families' current lifestyles are involved in the planetary health practices. Like just now I mentioned the forestry issues. If we can give them a more positive aspects instead of going for like different approaches, it would be much better. But for the second task we have, an adjustment, we can bring cultural aspects into the Anthropocene and health education as a new domain because different countries, especially in Southeast Asia as well, and also for more developed countries, their unique cultures bring new aspects, new insights into kids' minds. Like, oh, this region has different types of fruits, different types of vegetation, their food source is very different. And when we can bring this message to kids, this will trigger their curiosity towards taking care of planet Earth and also health aspects much better. And we suggested this as a new domain. That we are.
Thank you. 2 is where? Here. Yeah. Table number 2 will be the presenter. I saw you talking a lot, so you can talk now. Can be very brief, people. It's just to share with us a taste of what.
Hello. Okay. So, hi everyone. I'm Afrina. I'm actually a student and I'm taking Foundation in Science. It's a pre-U program and I'm actually 19 years old. So, what we have discussed is what is the movement building. So, actually, we have to start from home and we need to evaluate what the parents have learned and how it has been applied in the home. And actually, from my personal experience, I'm a quiz guide, and for in quiz guiding, we have a 3 months project, and my project is to educate little kids. And I went to orphanage, I went to kindies, and I teach them on how the dangers of microplastics. And what I teach them is I teach like step-to-step eco-bricking. And when they went home, they actually teach their parents. They are early as 2 to 3 years old. And when their parents contacted me, and their parents are amazed on how like happy their kids recycling because and their parents say to me, oh, I never experienced that. And I feel very lucky that my kids have the opportunity now because technologies are improving. So they feel very happy because they also have suffer with eco-anxiety, and eco-anxiety is not something to play with. So they feel really relieved that the future generations their kids can apply the stuff that they haven't learned. So yeah, anyone from the group want to say something?
Perfect. Thank you. Now we 3. Table number 3. Who will, oh, this beautiful lady. So, just. Yeah.
Hello, everybody. My name is Fatima Ibrahim from Somalia. I am medical doctor based in Somalia. To be like planetary health, to start with gender, it is must be start with the homes or the families, individuals. And as the conference theme is action, my perspective of our experience as a group, we for example, like Somali people, they are livestock dependent. They are dependent on animal and they care about the animal more. So if the dad or mom she want to take care of their animals more, if there is a cows have a baby, maybe she will say to me, "Oh, this is for you. Just give a name and take care of this one." So I will take care more than anything. Even like if I'm hungry and I see like my baby is hungry, I will give before me. And when it comes to the environment, we can start the child inside the home. We can plant a tree, and we said, "This is your plant, and you have to take care, and you have to give a name or whatever you want, and this is your responsibility. You have to take care." And after that, and we have to explain what is what this it mean on our life. We have to like tell them this plant he take us from the toxic and he will give us the life, because as we know the plant give us the oxygen, and they will take us from the carbon dioxide, and as we know the carbon dioxide is a toxic molecule. And the oxygen is more important because we all know the COVID-19. Without oxygen, there's not life. So like we can be is like those child is a dependent with like that. And we can give education a little bit one by one for the as a practice. And like we can make that movement for our perspective of side for my group. Anyone?
Okay,
Oh, thank you.
thank you. Group 4, who will present? Yeah, thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ku, representing Group 4. And in our group, we have 3 Malaysians and 2 Nigerians. Oh, sorry, Kenya. Okay, so we are going to touch on the equity and social justice and how do they work in the education for kids and teens. So first of all, our focus is more on how to get to the kids and the teens as fast as possible to disseminate this information. Okay, and we take into consideration that the country is very big and not every states or every district, they have proper channel to the teens and the kids. So which direction are we going? We are targeting at schools because schools is where all the kids will go to. And schools, if we are going to visit every schools and every teenagers, the cost is there. And so in order to reduce the cost, we will only select maybe 1 or 2 teachers from that school to be trained. So it's more of training the trainer. And training the trainer, the reason why we take schools is because the facilities are there. If we were to reach out to the individual students and to the individual families, there are many facilities such as if we want to show them videos or internet information, the facilities are not there. But schools, the basic facilities will be there. So to cut down our cost of training and to cut down our time, we use the software of the schools where we train the teachers, and then the teachers will go back to the school and disseminate those information to the kids. And this is how the education system of how we are going to educate the kids and the teens. And also we understand that what happens after the training, because the teachers will have gone back to their own schools, and how do they contact us back if they have any questions. So what we plan to do is we are also going to set up a support team. Okay, this support team is as and when anytime they have any questions or they need any information for us, they can call this support team, and the support team will be funded by, as you know, students, they are very rich students and they are very poor students. We will do the fundraising and target at the families. Hey, let's do it for environmental purpose. And no forcing, and that's how we fundraise, okay? So that not only it will benefit the rich, but it will reach out to the mass by distributing the funds among these, we call them support group. And this support group will support the students. And also the funds will be allocated to the student as and when there is a need, should they need to visit a certain place or a certain destination to get more information, that we will take out from the fund. So it's like the fund is like our safe deposit. Okay. So this is what we will do. And another thing to encourage, we would also like to encourage activities through the channel of, I mean, we are looking at teenagers and kids. Okay. Teenagers and kids, what other channel can we reach? So one of the other channel we can use to reach is through the pen pal system. Because when we introduce the pen pal system where we connect each other from one area to another area, the learning process is faster. You know, when you learn from your friend, it's faster than you learn from your teacher. So we are going to introduce the pen pal system. Anything that happens, we have a moderator or something. Pen pals right now, in today's time, is not like those days. Today's time is quite advanced. So we will also have something like a moderator. I call it pen pal system. Maybe there's a better word for it. Okay. There will also be something like a moderator to guide them. So these are the channels we are going to adopt as the education, how we want to educate the kids and the teens today. Yeah.
Thank you. So, table number 5, the last table, who will present this? Okay.
Hi, everyone. For table 5, we can safely say none of us are educators of children, but many of us have them. So we talked about how we build communities around values, how our children's classrooms are based in community norms and values, and how our families and our households have values. And I think in addition to all of the brilliance that's happened in this room, what we could contribute is this. I think what came up for me listening to everyone was around how do we move with not knowing or not getting right to a solution, but actually sitting in the questions for longer. We got cut off in the middle of a really powerful question, like how do we really teach about justice and equity when we don't have it and everything is so, and we were kind of, we got cut off. And what was great was I think if we can sit in those spaces a little bit more and move away from this idea that we have to know the answer right off, right? And then, but keep asking the questions.
Yeah.
And then in summary, I really do think I've really had the opportunity to work with this framework a lot this year. And the concepts in there, this idea that these would be shared learning principles in higher education, which is where I am, in children's education, in how we move in all of our professions and our disciplines. Those concepts, really, really understanding what is cultural humility, what is that about? What is concentricity? How do we move into that paradigm shift? Just as 2 examples of concepts that I've really enjoyed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, please.
Last thing we mentioned actually, it was around this domain 5, and we were discussing as well just how the use of technologies are so useful for learning and teaching. However, one of the reasons we are disconnected with nature is technology itself. So how do we balance this when we are working around these topics? So that was kind of one thing I wanted to also bring about.
Thank you so much. Such good, brilliant, and powerful ideas. I hope you have take notes in paper or in computers, and after I will find a way that you can share with us. So, after discussing how do you envision to do this, we have the second part of the side event that is sharing experiences. Who is working with children education involving planetary health? So we will have two presenters. First will be Sujita from Malaysia and then Jennifer. So please, Sujita comes. You could.
Hello, everyone. All right, my name is Sugita. I am from WWF Malaysia. I am the program lead for Education for Sustainable Development. Now, I followed this conversation with great interest, simply because I think whether we call it, so the work I do is called ESD, Education for Sustainable Development. I'm also a contributing member for the WWF Global Education Leadership Group, where we come together, members from 14 national offices, trying to figure out one thing: how can we green education, right? And then when we come into the planetary health space, it just takes that concept and plugs it in so well, right? So we're all actually speaking about the same thing, but using various terms to it, right? And it's very interesting to have been part of this conference because I'll share a little bit about the work that we're doing after this and how I think planetary health stands a much greater chance to be embedded, especially into the national curriculum and whatnot. All right, next, please. Next. So I'll give you a little bit of background very quickly. Next. So WWF, unlike what a lot of people mock me for, they say it's the wrestling foundation, but they lost to us. They are now called WWE. We are WWF. We're the reigning champions. So next. So this is what WWF stands for, Worldwide Fund for Nature. Next. And it was founded in Switzerland in 1961. We work based on national offices with the Conservation Fund. In Malaysia, we were set up about 50 over years ago, and we are active in over 100 countries. Next. So why are we here? What are we here for? Right? The same thing that we're all talking about. We want to stop the degradation. All right. We all are, I think in this room, we're all here because we want to do something for the planet. We want to save the planet in our very own way, right? So we want to ensure humans live in harmony with nature, the exact domains of planetary health, right? And we want to do that by ensuring we conserve our biodiversity. Our renewable natural resources are preserved, maintained, refurbished, replenished, and to ensure we reduce pollution and manage our waste. Next. So in Malaysia, as I said, 50 over years ago, we work in 6 core areas. I think we can go to the next one. Next, I think I'll skip this one, just go to the next one. All right. So these are the 6 areas of conservation we work on, involving forests, freshwater, wildlife. You see the Malayan tiger there. Any Malaysians here in the room? Do you know how many tigers we have left in Malaysia? Wild guess. 6 is too little. We'll not be in this room talking if it's 6. How many? A little bit more. So we've got 150 tigers only. We had 3,000 in the 1970s. It's a very, very huge drop. Our tigers are very critically endangered, right? Next. So we also do sustainable, sorry, go back. We also have something called sustainable market practices. You heard our chairman, Tan Sri Wahid, speak earlier about how the corporates are becoming more increasingly engaged in this space. And then we have policy and climate change, as well as our marine program, right? Next. So these are all the areas of work. We have active project sites, protected areas. So we are always fighting this battle against capitalism and saying that we want to protect the spaces. We want to set up more wildlife corridors. We have been very successful in doing that because of the collaborations that we have. Next. So coming down to education, what have we been doing? So last year, taking cognizance of all the things that have been happening, we've been hearing about SDGs, and then we have UNESCO's Greening Education Partnership, GEP, and a few other guiding stars, and we have Planetary Health. So how do we bring all that and make sense of out of it? What do we intend to see as an outcome? So we thought that we need to create 3 levels of change through 3 trust areas. One being trust one, which is systemic change, because we know with systemic change, it can be more broad-based, it can be more widespread, and then translate that into communal change, and then lastly, individual change. More often than ever, we're always talking about individuals needing to change, but we know change doesn't happen so easily, right? I think we've been hearing this throughout the sessions, right? All right, so these are some of the strategies that the program I lead in WWF Malaysia is pursuing at this point of time to ensure we can create a sustainable society. All right, next. So I'm going to show you what we've been doing now, the activities that we've been carrying out. So whenever schools reach out to us and say, hey, can you come? We go. We never say no to schools because it's an opportunity to get down there, to talk to young children. You know, one of you just now shared, stop fear mongering, stop making us, stop scaring us. Tell us what we can do already. Kids know all about climate change. It's not a new concept. They're born, remember, they're born into this world that we've damaged so much, right? So don't scare them that I know world is not going to end in 2 years, but you know, tell them what they can do already. So we go out there and do wherever it is. This is a vacation Bible school, so we bring things that will excite them. So this is Chi-Chi, our panda. Whenever Chi-Chi goes, they get all excited. It becomes an experience to remember, right? And then we have a religious animation series. Why take a religious perspective? Because for many, religion is close to heart. We've done a Buddhism series, we've done an Islamic series, we're working on a Hinduism series. And we try to approach them in various areas that they are more inclined to. And then we were running the Eco Schools program for about close to 10 years. It is introduced by the Foundation of Environment Education, FEE. And then we have since then trained a fellow NGO and passed this whole management of it. So we currently have about 500 eco schools in the country, schools which have taken on the concept of environmental education and embedded them very successfully. All right, next. So in our about to reach out to young learners, who are our intermediaries? The teachers, of course. And you know, I don't know whether you will resonate with this, but when you go talk to teachers, they say, oh, don't add on to my burden already. Yeah, I think if you go and tell them about planetary health, they'll be like, what? I have not even digested SDG yet, right? You will hear that because that's what we hear. So we try to understand these audiences that we work with. We need their help to talk to the children. We need them to deliver the knowledge. And if they are not accepting of it, it's not going to go anywhere, right? And we've used the behavioral-centered design approach. We've done a lot of empathizing to understand what are the motivation barriers, what are the behavioral levers, be it a social lever, be it an emotional lever, what kind of levers are there for the teachers and what are they picking on, right? Next. And we do activities like this. So every year WWF hosts the Earth Hour. We go to a campus. I'm hoping next year we'll come to Sunway. We just signed a MOU with them. So hopefully we can do our Earth Hour here next year. And we get the National Scouts. So I really resonated when you said Girl Guides, because the Scouts already have an active program called the Earth Tribe program. So we ride on that, get them on board, And activities like this are what they remember, versus putting it in the classroom as part of a lesson. This one is an experiential learning and it goes a long way, right? Next. So this is the latest thing that we've done. We've done the beta testing, gamification. So resonating with what you said just now, we worked with a fellow university in Malaysia. It's a teaching university, teaching to prepare teachers. And they've developed something called Module Kuasa Hijau, which means green power module. So we've put an icon to it and students can play games. So you see, we tested it and they loved it. They loved it. And when we tested their knowledge after that, they remembered what they had played. So the whole conversation about environmental education is not an easy one. Neither is planetary health. But if we can bring these words into a space where they already are actively part of, then that conversation becomes easier, right? Next. Yeah, that's all. Any questions? None? Maybe after. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sujita. And then I will pass to Jennifer. Please, Jennifer.
I'm gonna hide over here because I have notes, so that we can see the screen. Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. My name is Jennifer Rasmussen. I'm an education fellow with the Planetary Health Alliance. And my background is a little different. I'm actually a nurse. I've been a nurse for about 11 years. So my teaching has been to my pediatric and patients and my adult patients as well. So mainly I've been in community health and home care settings. And I actually remember I attended my first PHA meeting in 2020, and I remember just still being so excited because I'd found my people, So it's really an honor to be here 4 years later as a fellow. So for this fellowship, we had to create, Tatiana reference, we had to complete a project that would help advance planetary health education. And so after some deliberation and brainstorming, I decided I wanted to create teaching posters for middle and high school students. Next slide. So the aim of creating these teaching posters was to provide a teaching tool for educators to use to enhance the learning experience for students. The objective was that educators would integrate these teaching posters into their curriculum as a way to introduce students to these concepts. And there are two posters, one that is called What is Planetary Health? And the other is What is the Anthropocene? Next slide. So before we go on to the posters themselves, I want to just sort of briefly go over what teaching posters are and their proven effectiveness in education. So teaching posters are a kind of visual aid designed to support and enhance the learning experience in educational settings. They're usually large in size, typically made of paper or cardboard or a similar material. When not in use, they are often hung on display in classroom walls. Teaching posters serve various purposes, such as summarizing information, illustrating concepts, providing visual aids for instruction, and reinforcing key points in a lesson. The most effective teaching posters are typically visually appealing, they're organized, and convey information in a clear and concise manner. So while there isn't a ton of research on the effectiveness of teaching posters specifically, there is a body of research that supports the broader use of visual aids in education. And teaching posters being visual aids would certainly fall into that category. So some key points supported by research, and I'll make this quick. So I know research can be boring sometimes, but enhanced memory retention. Studies have shown that the use of visuals in education can improve memory retention. Information presented visually is often better remembered than information presented solely in a textual format. visual learning preferences. Research indicates that many individuals have a preference for visual learning. Visual aids such as posters can cater to this preference and enhance understanding and retention of information. Increased engagement. Visual aids, again, as teaching posters or similar to teaching posters, can make learning more engaging and interesting. They can capture students' attention, motivate them, and create a positive learning environment. And then the last two, clarification of complex concepts. Visuals can indeed clarify complex concepts. So diagrams, charts, illustrations on posters can kind of simplify abstract ideas and make them more accessible. And then finally, support for multimodal learning. And that usually involves using multiple senses for a more comprehensive understanding of a topic. So teaching posters with their combination of text and visuals support this approach. And then, finally, I just want to make a note. It's important to note that the effectiveness of teaching posters or any kind of teaching tool often depends on how they're integrated into overall teaching strategy. So it's not really about the posters themselves per se, but also about how they're used in conjunction within the instructional framework to maximize their educational impact. So here we have poster number 1. As you see here on the right, one side of the poster is divided into 8 sections, while the back side, the left image, is an enlarged image of the front cover. And on the side with the 8 sections, we have the front and back covers, an introductory page, and the remaining 5 pages are the different planetary topics with corresponding teaching guides that are accessible via QR codes. And there's 2 per page. And the 10 planetary topics used on these teaching posters include climate change, natural disasters, water scarcity, changing food systems and nutrition, urbanization, biodiversity shifts, pollution, deforestation, infectious and non-communicable diseases, and mental health. Next. And then the second poster is what is the Anthropocene? So it's similar, but a little different. Just like with the Planetary Health teaching poster, one side of the poster is divided into 8 sections, and the other side is the enlarged image of the front cover. And on this side with the 8 sections, we have a front and back covers. We have an introductory page, a graphic of the Earth's geological history, 2 pages of key terms that are related to the Anthropocene and their definitions. And the remaining 2 pages are teaching guides on the Anthropocene that are accessible via QR code. And both of these posters fold accordion style and open up into a large poster that can be hung on the classroom wall. So this is a close-up of one of the 8 pages of the Planetary Health teaching poster. I'm laughing because I had notes here about explaining what a QR code was, but I realize everybody already knows what that is, so we'll skip over that part. But basically, we have QR codes, and they link to a teaching guide, which are available now online. So it'll just take you right to the teaching guide that goes right with that planetary health topic. So the teaching guides consist of activities that help students understand the importance of each planetary health topic and the Anthropocene. Each teaching guide has a title, an objective, materials needed, and activity steps. There are opportunities for students to engage in research, brainstorming, self-reflection, creative expression, and giving presentations to their peers. These activities can either be completed in a single class session or spread out across multiple sessions. And then the objective of these teaching guides is to educate students about these topics in a way that fosters both their analytical and creative minds, facilitating a blend of individual and then collaborative learning. So let's give it a try. The activity, we can go to the next slide. Thank you. The activity we're gonna do is from the Planetary Health poster from the mental health topic called Eco-Anxiety, Exploring Mental Health and Environmental Concerns. And if you go to the next slide, this is a close-up of it. So everyone should have it at their table, except this table. I'll get you guys some. So we're just gonna do, in the interest of time, but just do a shortened version of one of the activity steps, step number 5. So it should be at all the tables, but this is a close-up of it. I'll leave this up here as well. So each table has paper and markers for you to use. And just take about 5 to 7 minutes to create your own coping toolbox. And then we'll take another 5 to 6 minutes to share it within your group. And yeah, just so again, so you can get a little taste of what one of the activities is. So go for it. Okay, so if you haven't already, go ahead and talk within your groups, your tables about for the next 5 minutes or so, just sharing your different coping tools with each other, your coping toolbox. I hope that was enjoyable and helpful and giving just a tiny glimpse into these teaching guides and how they work. And next slide, please, sorry. As far as the future of these teaching posters, I do hope they're utilized by educators and that they are a useful tool for educating students on planetary health and the Anthropocene. I do hope that eventually they can be translated into different languages so that they can be utilized by educators worldwide. I hope that more teaching posters on that there are more teaching posters on additional planetary health topics can be made. So for example, just traditional ecological knowledge, globalization, environmental justice, policy. I mean, the list goes on and on, as we know. And then very soon they will be freely available for download on the PHA website, the Planetary Health Alliance website. So do look out for an email. Within the next month after the conference, they'll be available virtually on the education that Tatiana went over, the education section of the PHA website. And then next slide. So to conclude, the teaching posters visual aids are valuable tools that facilitate effective teaching and learning experiences by making information more accessible, engaging, and memorable for students. By introducing planetary health and the Anthropocene in young minds, educators can instill a sense of responsibility and stewardship for the planet, encouraging young minds to make sustainable choices and take actions to protect the health of the planet as they grow older, in really whatever field or discipline they pursue. Next slide. And that's the end. So please do keep in touch with me. And thank you so much. And I did just want to show you guys as well that they are here, the launch of these teaching, but this is the first time I'm touching them for the first time. So I feel like it's my baby that I'm giving to you, but not really, sorry, that was weird. But anyway, feel free to take a poster. I hope we have one for everybody, but this just so you can kind of see and feel what it is, the front and back side, and just have fun with them and enjoy them. Thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah, next. And we are closing the session, but just I will not leave you. I hope that you don't leave without knowing that we launched it 2 weeks ago. It was like this. It was so 3 weeks. It's because the time's passed so fast in the last weeks. So 3 weeks ago, we launched this Growing Green Hearts ebook, which is a kind of a book that brings stories about planetary health education for kids and teens. We hope that you could access this and get inspired with these stories, and even those of you that don't work with schools maybe can act as kids educators or children educator, because education happens in a lot of spaces. So please access, share, and maybe from here we could have new stories. No, Yelena, maybe in the future have another book. So thank you. That's the end. Please, the next slide is just thank you, obrigada. And this is my contact. If you want, just write me. That's all. Something, Elena, that I forgot? No? No. Yeah.